Now the floor goes to Mr. Jürgen Siebel, the head of Cedefop, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. For me, it's the first time in this wonderful building. I only joined Cedefop on the 1st of September, so please bear with me as this is my first presentation. Cedefop is, as my colleagues already mentioned, one of the oldest agencies. We started in 1975. We promote the understanding of vocational education and training systems. We provide support and shape the Copenhagen process since around 2000 on this matter via the Education and Training 2020 scheme. We have been shaping vocational education and training policy agenda. We have supported its implementation, and we are monitoring progress. Since 2007, we have also assumed a more stronger policy supporting role. And now, finally, this year, with our revised founding regulation that is now in force, we have also formally recognized and included activities that go a bit beyond vocational education and training and that had been ongoing for quite some time. In this case, it's all about labor market and skills analysis and on qualifications. I need the... Sorry, I forgot. So, this way around. Yeah, here we are. Sorry. And here you can also see what I just said in the spotlight. And in terms of the new founding regulation that I mentioned, here you also have our objective statement. We have, as I said, become a recognized center of quantitative and qualitative policy-relevant research in vocational education and training for both young people as well as for adults, and for skills and for qualifications. Our analysis of current and future relations between jobs, skills and qualifications provide policymakers with the opportunity to modernize their vocational education and training systems. The research of Cedefop on qualifications has helped to develop some common transparency tools based on the outcomes of learning. We have supported vocational education and training reform across Europe with those tools and contributed to a kind of different perception of vocational education and training. This has also reinforced our agency's role as an interface between education and training on the one side and the labour market on the other, an area that is not covered by other EU organisations. I would now like to introduce the priorities of our work going forward. Cedefop has a multi-annual programme that is defined, of course, by our vision that you see here, our values, the multi-annual objectives that are set for us, and we hit the ground in the form of three main strategic areas of operation that I will now explain or share with you. ShapingVET is the first one. In ShapingVET, Cedefop monitors progress towards the EU priorities for vocational education and training along the Bruges Communiqué and Riga conclusions. ReferNet is about understanding what is happening at national level, and it's also a network for sharing vocational education and training experience. We try to understand the past and based on that build scenarios to inform the future. We innovate the way we present our information from reports that we used to publish. We're going more and more to interactive online tools, for example, by mapping challenges that learners face in our mobility scorecard. Regarding key competencies, we go beyond monitoring by, for instance, conducting workshops with policymakers, for policymakers, on, for instance, digital literacy or multi-annual skills like we did just last week in Thessaloniki. Finally, Cedefop also provides or feeds enabling tools such as the European Qualifications Framework, EQUAVET, sort of the vocational education training quality system, and recommendations coming out of that, and Europass. Next one of the three main strategic areas is valuing VET. What do we do here? In valuing VET, in general, Cedefop promotes the access the attractiveness and the inclusiveness of vocational education and training and adult learning. We work on guidance and validation and on financial and non-financial incentives in the sphere of vocational education and training. We focus on groups that need tailored support to integrate or reintegrate into the labour market, especially, of course, low-skilled individuals and early leavers of the education system. Regarding work-based learning, in particular apprenticeships, we also facilitate learning across countries and share experience. We work on the professional development of teachers and trainers. And maybe most importantly, Cedefop tries to understand citizens' views on vocational education and training and adult learning through opinion surveys. One of the key groups to decide whether vocational education and training is actually an accepted and equal pathway in the education sphere is parents deciding for their children, for instance. So we need to reach out to them as well. Informing about vocational education and training is the third and last of these priorities. Here, Cedefop provides labour market intelligence and evidence to support the transition to the new world of work. In particular, we have a skills demand and supply forecasts. It's a proven methodology. We cover the main trends in the European Union and at member state level there. We also analyse supply and demand imbalances or also skills mismatches. We use information in online vacancies with big data techniques to see what types of skills employers emphasize. So we're trying to speed up our reaction time instead of conducting lengthy surveys that are difficult and burdensome. We try to use the intelligence that is already in the data that's out in the net. Regarding skills governance, we have conducted 4 country reviews since 2017. They are all in their final stage, and the policy learning conference will follow on this topic in 2020. Last but not least, the European Company Survey. I'm very proud of that because it's jointly done with Eurofound, a big effort of joining forces here. And we also conduct the second round of the European Skills and Jobs Survey. The first one was in 2014. And in all of those survey activities, we try to gather data needed to analyze skills and jobs, both from also employer and workers' perspectives. Finally, with all those 3 strategic activities, we also have not to do good, but talk about it. So we communicate the results with impact. So I don't want to, I just throw this up here. So we, of course, publish information like briefing notes, like brochures on our topics. So any one of you who's interested, I also brought this wonderful USB key, and I have a couple of them. So if you're interested, please feel free and collect one from me after this session. We are moving in this space. I mentioned already in 2019, the hottest topic at the moment is the online vacancy analysis using big data. Last year in 2018, we did skills forecast, a skills index, a database on apprenticeship schemes, opinion surveys, and other resources for guidance. And for later this year, next year, we also plan to move our intelligence on the different VET systems in all EU member states, plus Norway and Iceland, onto an online tool. Finally, second last slide, I think, yeah, I'm still in time. Some figures on Cedefop. I'm not going to go into detail here, but you have it in your slide sets, just that you see some of the activities that we do. And then I would rather come to my last one, looking a bit out to what we intend to do in the future. There will be a changing nature of vocational education and training in Europe, and we would like to facilitate learning from the past and good practices, increasing our understanding of the implications of different choices for the future. So what we try to do is signal trends. We're not trying to predict the future, but at least we're going to make a policy, give policymakers the ability to take informed decisions. So what we currently see and are investigating are 3 scenarios. The first one is the pluralistic scenario for vocational education and training, in which this becomes a standard education pathway for all. So that means that elements of vocational education and training will also enter the higher education sphere. We call this higher VET. The second one is the distinctive scenario, which is still a standard, but remains a distinct educational sector. And then we also have the third scenario, which is the special purpose vocational education and training, which sort of is geared to facilitating inclusion in the labour market for special needs. With having said this, I'm thanking you all for your attention and awaiting your questions later. Thank you.